reforms are not taking place. GLC positions are given out as a matter of political reward. So the same criticisms which were levied to previous governments are now being done by the reform-centered government. His case has been postponed indefinitely. I mean, if this has happened last year, there will be riots on the streets. I think when we celebrate diversity, I believe when we embrace multiracial moderate Malaysia, when we implement good policy, I think that's how we turbocharge Malaysia forward. The same people are saying, oh, you will split votes and therefore there will be power, are the same people who are signaling every day that Muda only has 1% support. Stop the politics of vendetta, stop the vicious cycle, because that vicious cycle kills Malaysia. We ask for focus on killing each other internally, that we are not competing globally.
Hey guys, this is Sinar Daily and you are watching Thought Leaves Podcast and I'm Saddiq and today we are with YB, Muar MP, Saddiq, Abdul, Rahman. Hi, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, that's been very.
Alright, so we're going to go straight.
Just call me Saddiq.
Okay, so Saddiq,
Yeah.
We're going to straight to the point. And my question is, who is Muda's talent group actually?
Who is Muda's target group? All the nations. We're meant to be the party which champions diversity, multiracialism, moderation, but more importantly, a data-driven, policy-based politics. And I believe that's within the ambit of all the nations. They want good policies, they want to see Malaysia elevated to a developed country status, they want good jobs, good pay, good public transportation, climate change. These are all issues which are close to the hearts of the average Malaysian, and Muda was the chances for it.
So people want change, right?
Correct.
Okay, and we'll go right back to the talent group, but
Yeah.
we all know what happened to us are not invitation lines for the election. What happened? And I'm super disappointed with how they treated Muda.
I mean, politics is give and take, and we have to prepare for whatever circumstances come our way. However, for a new upstart like Muda, we have to keep on marching forward, because in the end, the battle to rebuild Malaysia, to inject new politics, will take time.
Okay.
However, we believe that the battle is ultimately worth it, win or loss. We have to start investing in Muda and Malaysia for the next 10, 20 years to come.
10, 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back, I tell the matter. Do you think that people who will be voting for Muda are those who are upset with PH in the end? Because you said about change. And let's be honest, PH working with BNs is going back to the olden days.
Correct. So I believe it's not just about taking PH, the end was the base. I think there are also those who are quite feel a sense of discontract with PN's race and religion politics. So it's really about capturing Central Asia. But that Central Asia demands for reforms, demands for change, demands for more solid anti-corruption measures, demands for better public transportation. However, you are right. When the ruling government today are unwilling to talk about it, or worse, backtrack on those commitments and promises. I mean, you have to go far if you look at anti-corruption measures. What are the institutional reforms on that? You said you wanted to reform MACC. Heck, there was no reform that we didn't put it under Parliament. The Deputy Prime Minister had ongoing corruption charges, which, mind you, if he faces the time in court, he's fine, but he's not like there, right? His case has been postponed indefinitely. I mean, if this has happened last year, there will be riots on the streets. And no decentralization of power in the hands of the Prime Minister is getting more and more. I mean, the Prime Minister holds the Minister of Finance, which has not happened for the past 5 years. Prime Minister also holds the Minister of Wilayah. The Prime Minister appoints all key portfolios and positions for civil servants, which will still be committed related to Parliament.
Yes.
So the point of the matter is, reforms are not taking place. GLC positions are given out as a matter of political reward. So the same criticisms which were levied to previous governments are now being done by the reform-centered government. I think that's a problem.
Okay, that's the issue here. This, what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing is that those people who are fighting for reforms, fighting for change, all this while for the past 5 years, are stepping down their game, are being like, you don't know where we're there. We've got into power. Let's just take a step back. Whatever happens, happens. What we want is that.
Yeah.
Prime Minister is the current Prime Minister. The Prime Minister they want is the current Prime Minister. Ooh. Is that live? No, what are you getting?
And that's hypocrisy. You cannot abandon reforms and forget the people of the Rakyat just because you not sit on the thrones of power and walk the corridors of power. If anything, power comes with great responsibility. No, it's all exciting, but he's right. I mean, in a way, you need to use it not for yourself, but to change Malaysia's political landscape, to make Malaysia a developed country, to celebrate diversity, to ensure that in the end, the lives of the average Malaysian gets better. I mean, I haven't started on how the economy today is in a major problem. I'm not just looking at the strength of the currency, but you look at all the commitments made on ensuring wages will be better. And then all of this is no longer being put to center stage because it's politics 24/7.
Yeah.
And actual crucial decision making gets postponed time after time again. So I think the feeling among the majority of the nations is a sense of apathy that the who's in power, the same problems recur. So I think it's time for Muda, instead of, just playing safe, playing about government, I think it's time for us to invest 10, 20 years down the line, which is to fight for what we believe in, which is to make Malaysia a great country, a developed country, one in which there's adversity, one in which really institutions govern the way forward, not personalities per se.
Okay. And I'm just gonna go on a hinge right now because right now the Dr. Mahathir has been talking about the Republican nation.
Yeah.
And there's so many race and religious campaigning going on. Where does Muda fall into that area?
I mean, I've answered through criticism Muda, and since day one, I think he's made it public that he didn't agree with the formation of Muda. He doesn't believe that a multi-racial party, which is youth-centered, can win or survive. I think we've survived this far. And recently, he launched the same criticism.
Yeah, a few days ago.
To be honest, I welcome the criticism. But my answer to him is not a personal one. It's not about hate, it's not about vendetta. But it's more of my principle and my ideology. I disagree with Dr. Mahathir because I believe the best way to bring up the Malays is to force them to the pressure bunker, is to create a world and a structure which is more meritorious and meritocratic in nature. Because I believe that the Malays can thrive, can be the best, among the best. I mean, I remember during my debating needs, right? And there's no quota system, there's no preferential treatment. It was UIP and UITM that were the best in Malaysia. Then we took on Asia, we beat the best in NUS and NTU. Then we took on the world so much so that we were the top in the world.
Yeah.
And it's for Malays. We were Malay Muslims and we could win.
Yeah.
And I know there are many other young people who are like that. However, the structures of power today, really weakens us, paints us as if we are incapable, we are weak, that we are namely. I completely disagree. I know many Malays who come from underprivileged families who are ridiculously hardworking and who aspire to be the best among the best. So my answer to Dr. Mahathir, and the reason why I disagree, I think when we celebrate diversity, I believe when we embrace multiracial moderate Malaysia, when we implement good policies, I think that's how we turbocharge Malaysia forward. That's why my answer is not just based on personality. I mean, my criticism of the NEP, for example, right? It's not just a criticism of the constitution. No, but I said the NEP has been here for decades. But still, a quarter of movie quota Sabans today still live below poverty line. I'm not about below poverty line. So the problem is all good policy making and bad policy making. So we tweak in terms of policies and make sure the policies are data driven. Like, why do you need to come up with policies in which you protect the billionaire class, which is still like me today? Same concessions, same monopolies are being extended. I mean, let's face it, raw materials, same monopolies. That's why when they say, oh, we're going to break up properties, where? I'm talking breaking up Dutch and more small, which is on your body. That's great.
Yeah, it's great. But
what about rice? What about sugar? What about, I can list down energy and everything else. It still contains. Like back then, we say, jadi government is for harga turun. Not just for kita, just for electricity. Saya akan panggil tauke. Kita akan pastikan turun harga. Mana?
yeah.
I mean, people are asking that today.
What about the subsidy? That was the subsidy.
So I and decide to change. I have all four tungsten subsidy. I can be very fair and government on that matter. That's why my criticism must be measured.
Okay.
However, you cannot on the one hand say that you support targeted subsidies, but on the other hand, on even here, sons and daughters of millionaires still get it. Where is the messaging? You cannot say that you want targeted subsidies, but on the other hand, at the same time, you are still perpetuating the same monopolies and concessions given to multi-billionaires. I mean, you cannot, so you have to be very clear, because you cannot say that you want to give targeted subsidies, but still, you are still dishing out political rewards, not based on merit, but based on those who are loyal, be it teachers. Correct. So, on this, you must be consistent.
Okay. All right. But that was just like long conversation. We do not have time to go anything just yet. So, right now, what is happening in your position to the youth government? Are you still supporting the Prime Minister? Is it easy one seat left?
No. I want to be very clear about this. I believe in a multiracial, multi-religious, reform-sector Malaysia. I want Malaysia to be an invalid country. I want for us to leapfrog other countries in Southeast Asia, but for that to happen, need a lot of good policies. But at the same time, will I disrupt and cause a change in government midway? My focus is on extracting concessions via the good policies. And the best way to do that, that's why Muda is entering this state election, is for the people to send a clear wake-up call to those who sit the thrones of power. When there's a wake-up call, which says that you do not get the votes which you want. Now they're so complacent to a point that they predict in Salo they'll win 51 out of the 56 seats. So complacent. But if a wake-up call is sent, can you imagine what will happen after elections? I believe what will happen. The government will need to fast-track on reforms. The government will need to ensure that economic developments and priorities are given utmost importance instead of the same old politics. The point is there will be a huge wake-up call, and those who sit in Putrajaya will have to focus on moving Malaysia forward instead of playing old politics. So Muda's focus is to deliver that wake-up call on behalf of the people so that reforms are finally fulfilled and that we are backed on the right track instead of where we're at today.
Like in the 6 states, right? What are your major candidates? Which states are you guys targeting?
For the past 1 week, we've opened up. We've tried something unconventional. We've democratized the process of selection of candidates. Literally anyone within the public will join and apply. And now we are the applications are amazing. It's huge numbers too. I was surprised, but with that comes a lot more filtering, which is needed. Because we want to get smartest writers, those with a good track record, and their heart must be the right senior writers. The last thing you want to feel who can throw a lot of money, but then in the end, that's not have a track record service, or in the end, whether your power will cheat. So I want to ensure that this process is done well. Why isn't this methods before we start strategizing weak state and everything else? That must be done well.
But secondly, surely you have few states like Samoa, for example, or urban areas.
Yes. I think on that strategy, we will announce it very soon. It's not I don't want to tell my friends here at Sinar Daily, but I think I'll be doing a great service to my party.
They have to know first.
We have to go through the step-by-step process. But again, our priority in the end, and I'll be very frank, is not to contest in the 4 seats. There are 200 seats up for grab. Why we are doing that? Because in the end, our job is to be that wake-up call. Our job is to be that check and balance, that loud, vocal voice, the voice of conscience for the people in the legislative assemblies. Because we know, and we have to be very practical, that we will not be forward. As King said, apa bertanding kalau tidak berkuasa. It's okay, we are young. But we will be very vocal in voicing up the needs of the people, and will be the best check and balance party ever.
Actually, like Watson said, right? Like it'll be difficult to win in general. But you would be somehow splitting votes for PH. Based on the list, you would be splitting the votes for PH, where you would likely give PN the winning time slot. So how do you feel about will be that character in the whole situation?
I have 2 big points to make. The first point is, if reforms are fulfilled, the economic direction of the country is headed in the right direction, there will be no need for Muda. In the end, people will definitely back Muda. You cannot steer Muda by saying that we will split votes and therefore PN will be part of power to justify incompetency, to justify clearly lying to people, to justify your own failures. The best answer is to show, no, we're actually doing good. Instead of, don't pick them because in the end, they split votes. The contestation should be a contestation of ideas, democracies, principles, ideals. Now, their argument is for split votes instead of we are better, we are moving in the right direction. So I think that's
Is that fair always
correct. That's what the second point I want to make here is the same people are saying, oh, you will split votes and therefore there will be power, are the same people who are signaling every day that Muda only has 1% support.
Yeah.
That Muda is too weak, no grassroots. Malaysians abhor that. And yet they say we are so strong that we can get the votes. In a scenario where they say they'll win 51 or 56,
Yes.
it's not we. They are saying they'll win 51 or 56 seats, and we only have 1% of support. Never mind, they say we have 1% of support. This 1% of support will be loud, will be the voice of conscience of people, and will continue to fight for the people. You can call us the underdog, you can ridicule us, it is okay. We will not go to their level. We want to fight on policies. We want to fight for ideologies.
But you're mainly long game anyways, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So when you talk about the long game, right, what are the major stepping stones that you have set for Muda in the long run? 20 years, 10 to 20 years, 10.
Correct. I think my aim is, and this why I say, cannot just be driven based on number of seats. My aim is for Muda to extract as many policy concessions, whether it's on paid internships, wage transparency laws, wage benchmarking, right? To ensure that gaji dapat dijadikan gambar when it comes to reforms, as I said, decentralization of power, no more an all-powerful Prime Minister's office, equal allocations of all MPs regardless, giving back allocations straight to states instead of using a parallel hyper-political bond.
Yeah.
I mean, the list continues. Political Funding Act, term limit, having our very own tender policy that which the institution that the ACTA has. These are all things. The reason why I want Muda to be a party of reforms, focusing on institutions, not personality, focusing on embracing meritocracy and diversity, embracing Malaysia's true strength. But for that to happen, it must be driven by institutions or personalities. Personalities change, institutions transcend partisanship and personalisms.
Yeah. It sounds pretty good, but I'm just going to touch on something super sensitive right now. What happened to LCS? You were totally out. That was ridiculous. For me personally, everybody was talking about LCS, the amount of money about LCS was ridiculous. What happened and why? How do you feel when people were just attacking in Dakar? Is it the PCR youth?
Yeah.
How has Adam been to you?
Yeah. Yes. Adam Ali or anyone else, I try my best to not make things personal. So if I think he has shared his views, I will answer based on policies because that's the best way you move Malaysia forward. And with that, obviously, when it's more like it's like what you see before election and what you do after election are completely different. Completely. Let's not forget, if you remember just a few months ago, your protests on the streets, there were speeches made with state that will even jail that Sri Ali. I didn't make the speeches, they did.
Yeah.
Right? I think followed the proper due process.
Yes.
Right? I said investigate. And now, and they said you're going to remove key that you're going to get new guy in siasat, jailkan Syed. Kita menang, guy masuk. So they move on dengan darjah creep. You can watch my speeches if you want. Tak ada satu pun saya ketua, I didn't. Right? Because I believe in the rule of law. Right? I don't say this kind of things that if you follow the due process. But they would have said it. And after election, the things get better now. Before election, they said 6 shakes. 9 billion.
Yeah.
After elections when they had the power, 5 ships, 11.2 billion. And yet, not dog is like, oh, you push the take after that. Laporan PC. We've already betapkan enough year. Bukan laporan PC, we declassified the audit report as well. Above and beyond that, what has happened to the investigation? Back then they said, oh, only charging 1%, this is token, small. Now, where is it? So you keep quiet. It's not really important. Why? Because these people are in position of power and now you are in bed with them, therefore they have immunity. Is that what politics is about? Forgetting principles just because we're in power? I think that's not right.
Yeah.
So my answer It's not a personal one. My answer is to talk about these issues. How many voters care about it? I mean, this is voters' tax-based money, 11.2 billion ringgit.
Insane.
Right? It is a huge amount. Exactly. And not just the timeline has been postponed by a few years. Now our shit's reduced. Our country's sovereignty on the line.
Yeah.
And yet, it's business as usual. Bills laws are involved.
Right for it. But like, since we're talking about election, promises and things like that, I'm talking about Sheraton. You were there.
Yeah.
You were that in Sheraton, and you were pictured with Saddam and with all the
Oh, Saddam Bantu. Tak ada percaya.
bersyukur tandri kan.
Tak ada nation private. Hanya satu gambar was sending. I remember. That's the way they were. And I can be very clear and public about it because there were many people who testified exactly in the same story with Sheraton. I got post Sheraton moves privately, publicly, until the end. Until indeed.
Yeah.
Right? To show, try my best to summarize the easiest way possible. In a Supreme Council meeting of the Satu, which happened on the same Saturday morning,
Yeah.
in that meeting, out of like 30 Supreme Council members, I was the most vocal against it. So much so that I put it on record. This is not about Tun, it's not about Tan Sri, that even if Tun and Tan Sri supported it, I will oppose it because I think this is against the people's mandate. You don't betray those who you have worked with, but worse, you don't betray the people. And Malaysia's right is in our dynasty multiracial. We don't just say, oh, suddenly, because there is political convenience, then go and Malay unity only. When it's not, when Malay unity is not, oh, no, it's not convenient, we change. Thank you. It's not right. People will remember that. And obviously, I was in a minority. It didn't stop that. Why was I at Sheraton? Because before Sheraton, I received a call as an MP. All the Satu MPs must congregate at Sheraton.
Okay.
And then I was like, but we just had our meeting. And Tun was the Prime Minister then, already shared his grievances and how he was still unsure and disagreeable to what happened. So I said, okay, I went to Team Songs.
Okay.
Not just me, then Bina Rabor was there as well. We went to see Tun. We said, Tun, do you know that we all have to meet up at Sheraton? Tun said, no. So I said, okay, but point is, we received a call, all MPs must go there. And I remember Tun said, Saddiq, like how you fought in the morning against it, please tell the MPs. I went there, I entered a meeting with all the Faku MPs. I spoke my mind. I said, this is wrong. The Prime Minister and the party chairman disagree. I disagree as well. So much so, that night there was supposed to be tanda-tanda and rule PC. They all didn't have in the end, they were back. So then I went up, see there's nothing. Everyone dedicated to be cancelled. I went down and bought it.
So,
and you can ask everyone, did I sign any SD? No SD. Did I join the PC? There was no PC, was cancelled after what I shared, what I did. So much so after that, there was already people who were threatening me, saying that I'll be expelled from the party, that they'll come after me after this. So much so that I maintained the principle when I was offered minister post, I rejected. I was offered chairmen of GLC, I rejected. And after rejecting offers, then came the threats to me and my family members. I persevered. So it's very weird for people to say, oh, Saddiq, that video that briefed it. I think what happened then was my answer.
okay. But like, I want to know like how you felt during the dinner process, right? So being a sign at least. Where the UMNO members started arriving, where the UMNO MPs started arriving, how do you feel like, why are they here? Like, was then you knew that the Muslim were arriving?
So I heard about this before.
Okay.
But
I did not talk about it.
but every time he's brought to a meeting, I'm always the one who objected, and I always object with passion.
Yeah.
People may see that as anger, it's just passion.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think at one point in time, maybe those who supported Sheraton in the party realized that Saddiq cannot be a ward. So I think they carved me out from all the meetings. There were so many meetings that being public clean, which I've never been invited to any public
I'm okay.
which I think is the operation of HQ, right? We never been invited, and I think they realized, and too vocal, I may tell people about it, which I did. Immediately when it was out, I did tell, I said, I disagree, and these are the reasons why I disagree. Do I regret that move? No, I don't. Even though that move may have gotten me charged, even though that move may have gotten installed from the party which I co-founded, they are no regrets.
Yeah.
Because in the end, when you join politics, you have to prepare yourself on this risk. But you know, in the end, the greater goal lies in Malaysia. Because this country is a blessed country and will require a lot of sacrifices. There are many people who sacrificed before more than me, and I'm very glad to continue moving Malaysia.
We're very biased against consuming.
If I share this, I wouldn't take things
Personally.
I mean, really, were me angry. There's one person I'll be most angry at. My case in court is about internal bersatu waste.
Yeah.
Right? It's not under contact rakyat, make cukai.
Yeah.
It's about an internal party matter. But why take things personally if it means continuing that vicious cycle of vendetta, which pulls our country behind? What do I care about? I care about institutions, because institutions and the failure of institutions are what got me to the problem today, where MACC will be subjugated to the powers of the Prime Minister. Doesn't matter who, whether it's Tan Sri whether who the Prime Minister is today, tomorrow. So I care about, it's not on personalities, it's not making things personal, but it can change power structures in Malaysia, to change institutions, that even if one day we are unfortunately elect the worst version of a Malaysian as a Prime Minister, Malaysia will still be on the right track because our institutions are strong enough to withstand this pressure, and that's what makes Malaysia a great country.
Okay, I want to ask you, when PH will be organized for the state action, how has your relationship been as one Minana? Because you are wearing good friends as a vendor, and BP basically supported you guys during the Johor State Alliance, all the campaigning here with you guys. So how has your relationship, personally, friendship with on the other enemies?
As I shared before, I mean, got through a lot in the past 5 years, friendships, betrayal, expulsion.
It sounds so wrong.
All prayers charges. It's been a lot of that.
Yeah.
However, because of that, I don't take things personally. Because when you take things personally, you lose sight of Malaysia's future and the actual goals, which is to make Malaysia a developed country, a prosperous country. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's good. I think it's all good. I mean, that's what I say. Why you do when I meet up my past party colleagues, right? How they still talk to them.
Is that friends with one fiber?
I mean, well, again, I don't take things personally.
Yeah.
I have major disagreements.
Yeah.
With reviews, which I've had in public, in which he knows as well. But do I sit him? Will I do character assassination like what they did on me when they were in power? No. I will put an end to it, right? Stop the politics of vendetta, stop the vicious cycle, because that vicious cycle kills Malaysia. We are so focused on killing each other internally that we are not competing globally. I mean, other countries are looking at steadily on marketing their country, making their country great. We are focused on killing each other inside. And that's that. So, I think Wagyanwana has done some great things, in which I have no problem talking how much of a good hard worker she is. There are DP ministers who do the same. There are also those in PTR who work that night. But my disagreement is not based on personality. My disagreement is on how to take Malaysia forward. Right? I think in the end that requires good policies, good political commitments, and political will, and the idea to keep on marching forward, make Malaysia a great country.
Okay. And you spoke about ushering in politics world. Was it? I know we have seen about a lot. I mean, today you already about it, but generally, like, how can the people understand what politics world means?
I mean, simply put, it's politics which really looks at institutional reforms instead of personality-centered politics. It is politics in which upholds and embraces diversity and meritocracy. It is politics which really focuses on people combining strengths of institutions instead of cronies and a small, select handful of people who perpetuate the same problems in Malaysia. Overall, it's about focusing on policies and service. So Malaysia is a blessed country. We have the best of natural resources, but our biggest resource is our people, who are talented, hardworking. But unfortunately, today, due to the structures of power, we're not able to unleash our potential. My goal is to make Malaysia a multiracial, multi-religious, moderate policy-centered country which achieves a developed country status, strong institutions, unity, prosperity with unity. I think that's what I want. And when it comes to the position of Islam, I respect the Constitution. When it comes to the position of Malays, I respect the Constitution. But I think the best way to promote Islam is for the world to see Malaysia as the success story of a modern Muslim majority country which succeeds, which dominates in Southeast Asia when it comes to science and tech, when it comes to a good education system, best public transportation, the country with the best renewable energy potential, a country which is Muslim majority but with good governance, good economy, and good political governance. I think that's the best way for us to sell Islam to the world.
And like within our UAE, we have that in the back, right? But okay, so I want to understand, like when we talk about this, right? How do you reach to the people on ground? Because okay, this is an example. Okay, I've spoken to people and they were fancy very much too. So I asked why, and I thought it was just weird, but okay. They said like, the fights for equality, and like which part of equality? Because there's so many years in terms of equality. There's just so much.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, which part of equality? I thought, honestly, like let's be honest, the first thing I thought was to talk about LGBT and pride.
Yeah.
But you know what? They told me like it's you people that are still talk
Yeah.
Bumi Putra land rights. How's that wrong? Land rights?
When have we ever
Land rights? Like, and it was a control like what? Like, but they don't want. So like,
Huh?
I was okay.
Okay, the one where I did talk about where we have a clear start begins is that we disagree in the selling of our most precious lands to multi-billionaires in which they get and then slip it back
into
into
development.
correct. No, development, sure. No, but what they often do is they buy at a ridiculously discounted price in the name of Bumi Putra.
Yeah.
But then to sell it at a premium price. It's literally what duit atas angin.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm against. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That's it. When I heard that, I was like, where are you listening to this? And which one are you talking about? Like, I don't understand how it counts. If you want to talk about equality, job,
Yeah.
things, I don't know. But land right? Like, what is that? So how are you? This is totally obviously like whatever you consume on social media that are fake news and whatever misinformation. How are you going to address that? Because they are not up there in university, they are colleges.
The thing is, I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't dismiss their views. What I do is to engage them as much as I can.
Yeah.
And that's my job because obviously with a lot of fake news and with a lot of people not wanting to see the rise of this new politics, there will be a lot of confrontations, there will be a lot of pushbacks. When that becomes our duty to work a lot harder, to think out the box and innovatively to get the message out, and instead of pandering to the old politics, easy way or shortcut, we go the long game, which is changing hearts and minds of people no matter how long it may take, because that journey is worth it.
Okay, so I think, and to be frank, like there needs to be some engagement on ground. Like I will not think that, but Muda is relying a lot more to young voters, right? How are you guys? Is that was starting? Yeah, how are you guys trying to move more towards the, like the more seniors or presidents, civil or even millennials?
Yeah. No, actually, if we look at our track record, it was interesting to see that there is a huge support base among the older voter base, above 60. Formula, which is very unique. I mean, why to buy because of that. Very young, very old, which is very unique. But we have to cover that. I've admitted to that gap, but I think that gap is best fulfilled via good policies. Previously, when we were only one small coalition partner, it's very hard for us to keep on talking about new policies because other parties may disagree. Now we can, and this is our opportunity to do so. So I agree. I think it would be a best strategy to just focus on one goal. So it's very young and forget the rest. Because the fact of the matter is, to make Malaysia a developed country, a great country, you have to cover all, regardless of race, religion, age, and political views. Right? Because when you're in government, you're not meant to only support those who voted for you. You're meant to be the government for all the nations, regardless of support. So I think that's the group which Muda should be in.
Okay, and like, what's the impact? I think like in terms of if you guys doing something or like thumbdowns.
Yeah.
What do you think is why you guys do like? What's the, will you be relevant after that?
I mean, can't so as many games, but I'm fairly certain we'll keep on marching forward because if change Malaysia requires a lot of sacrifice, and especially sacrifice of time. I don't expect to shape Malaysia in 2-3 years.
Not.
It will take years, if not decades. but it will be worth it. Because when you are there, you change the system and make Malaysia a better country.
Okay, this one, this is about 5 to 10 minutes. I just want to get your predictions and pick your brain, start stating that names. 6 states. What do you think will win and which state?
So the reason why it's very hard for me to answer this,
Yeah.
see, I can wear my exhibition hat or my analyst hat,
Yeah.
but however, today I'm Syed Saddiq, and the president of Muda, and I owe a duty to my party and also to the Rakyat. And this matter, I will not take a single vote lightly. I'm not going to come out and be cocky and say that I'm going to get 51 out of 56 seats, like what colleagues have said. And every single vote counts, no matter who they are. There's no state deposits. Only that point, this is my state deposit. They'll never move. Or multiracial, moderate, reform-centered voters will never vote against me because not because I'm great, but because they don't want and they don't want pass.
Yeah.
You don't take things like no one is a safe deposit. Muda will work hard to win every single vote. Because in the end, you want to be their voice of conscience, you want to set a wake-up call, and at the same time, you want to be the check and balance for whoever forms government after state elections.
What do you think? This is a great speech, but what do you think is a changing factor that will they through? Which economic-wise, like blinding-wise? What I'm going to do?
Still two very clear issues, the economy and reforms, which in the end will make the economy better. I mean, again, in Islam, what many people have been asking is, like, simple, basic things, right? Now you see issues of PGD legal that with the forest.
Oh my God, yeah.
All of this happening, but they're still hiding behind OSA. They're not working, you man. 10 years work. I mean, now they're writing behind OSA. They want to steamroll the process. Muda is proposing, we are not anti-development. We're saying, have more transparency in discussion so we know that women people can judge it better. To bring it to the state legislative assembly instead of Majlis Besar decides everything to EXCO. Less accountability. I mean, in Parliament, they were saying, go parliamentary parliamentary set committee, debate it. The will state different.
Yeah.
But we want asset operations.
Yes.
State with asset operations. Actually, no, even federal today asset allocation pun tak ada. Which is great. We had asset allocation from 2018 to 2021. 2022, sorry. You know, when I asked the question, where's asset allocation? They tell me, I'm asking you, I was like, guys, this is a policy reform which we did and which other prime ministers also did. And now suddenly this is not, see, people are not just angry because of stock reforms. This is making the youth that want to go to reform. So, I mean, the wake-up call was sent. Muda will be here to make a voice of conscience.
Okay. Dr. B, make license. So, we have a question here. I want to see what is it accused to. Hold on. What is the question? Oh, okay. Oh my God. We use what hot news right now as we speak. PSNF is ready to discuss with Widow on possible collaborations.
Yeah,
I mean, I can use what to say about it.
the team which I engaged PSN of freelance, including before election, 15. We know of their leaders, the many people who are well-spirited, focused on service and discussion of policies. So I think there's a lot of alignment of interest there, especially...
You guys do have the similar or near objectives.
Yeah. So at that point in time, prior election, obviously PH was the dominant opposition.
Yeah.
And in the end, we went our respective ways. However, I think today, there will be this alignment of interest. First, alignment of interest, a lot. I think political direction is one in which we could discuss together. I think we've already been communicating.
Okay.
And we look forward.
Would you guys also want to reach out like our coalition family friend?
I mean,
Collaboration.
so I think there will be formal discussions to take place, and we look forward to engaging in this formal discussion.
Yeah, I feel like PSN is one of the parties that is very, very underrated. They do so much, yet they get so little on its win.
Yeah.
It's nice to know.
It's time for the underdogs
Yeah.
to fight a battle to make Malaysia prosperous and united country.
Okay, this is the last question. Okay. Do you have this person? Yeah, I've been covering politics word past. I know it's just 2012 moving on. It's like, well, they is right. Oh, this is 2030. But you do get fatigue, right? Then you see like, oh, it's the same thing, but it's an exciting, but like, what is it going to change? The worst was after the Syed Muda, I was just like a spiral of this depression, like honestly. But now we all hit like C50, and then we have like the Syed Muhammad, the people that wanted, we ever really wanted so badly isn't all, and there is this whole reform situation, and then going with the enemy, and now we're facing state elections. Do you think it will actually vote? We want people to go out and vote. I want you guys to go out and vote, but do you think people will come out and vote? The young ones, especially. Actually, the older people.
So I have a peculiar feeling that voter turnout for the state election will be very high.
Okay.
And the reason is because people are angry. Because of unprincipled politicians and parties forget people when they sit the thrones of power, forget the mandate, arrogant. And I think the people will come out in masses to send a clear wake-up call, which I believe will reverberate through Putrajaya and through every single state.
Okay.
And I think this will be good for Malaysia.
Can I ask you one follow-up from them? Since you said that people will be angry and will take maybe against the Putrajaya to make the change, right? Even though the state,
If it Putrajaya in state.
But in general, the state polls will defy the federal government, right? But what will happen to the image? Let's say PR doesn't win the state elections. PH doesn't win the state elections. What does that say?
I think that will be great because that will be a wake-up call and a reminder that if this wake-up call is still not seeded,
Okay.
in the next 4 to 5 years, you will be kicked out of Putrajaya. So, yeah.
In the end.
Correct.
And understand.
So I think most of every day, right? So I think this is the opportunity to remind those in power via a wake-up call in the state elections. I believe we're not talking about changing governments, but we're talking about changing direction. Now, we've forgotten the anti-corruption agenda, stop cases indefinitely, wanting to drop charges, what more, a pardon.
Pardon, oh my God.
I mean, they can't even come up with styles. I mean, previous election, he was made so clear, this is our stance, no more. Never mind, it's okay. Right? I mean, but not just that, as I shared, all the basic institutional reforms put in the back burner, forget it, it's okay. But I think the wake-up call is strong. They will have to do it, they will have to expedite, because they know this is about the survival of the government.
Okay, so before we end this slide, a final message for your Muda supporters.
Yeah, to Muda supporters and also especially fellow Malaysians. I hope you give Muda a chance in the state elections. We know that we are a new party. We lack experience, we lack rich donors, financial networks, patronage. But we make up with our idealism, with our rigor to bring in new politics, to focus on rebuilding Malaysia through institutional reforms, not on political personalities per se. We are here to invest in Malaysia for the next 10 to 50 years, which is to make Malaysia a truly valid country, one which celebrates diversity and unity, a country in which all Malaysians can proudly call home. And we hope that you will give us your vote and a chance to be your voice of conscience after the state elections.
All right. Thank you so much, Saddiq. Thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure as Sinar Daily. So we'll see you again. We have lots of things coming up. And you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to follow all our social media platforms, Sinar Daily MY. And stay tuned because we have more content from Sunday with us as well as other materials in the NY State Coast. See you guys. Bye.